Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Thatboyalex and welcome back to another video on this channel. Today, we're going to be reacting to No Aura Wrestlers That Can't Get Over. This video is by Wrestle with Andy, so be sure you guys go check him out. I will leave an original link to the video down in the description below. So yeah, man, I'm bringing back another one of these reaction videos. As I said, I'm trying to get as much content as I can. I'm trying to get as much work in as I can. So, you know, we keep going up with this, and yeah, man. I highly appreciate y'all. So without further ado, let's get straight into it in 3, 2, 1. The thing is, bro, Karrion Kross, he was dominant in NXT. He was booked well in NXT. During the pandemic, you know, no crowd, no anything. I feel like his career like completely just derailed. Bro, if y'all remember, I know everybody remembers this. The promo that Adam Cole cut on Karrion Kross, I believe he was still the NXT champion around this time, Karrion Kross. The promo that Adam Cole cut, he said, "You are nothing special without the smoke, the lights, the girl." that Adam Cole promo killed him. And then about like a month later, he goes up to the main roster and he loses to Jeff Hardy. I remember them. It was Monday Night Raw under Vince McMahon. The first Monday Night Raw, where crowds back in attendance, he goes in there and he fucking loses to Jeff Hardy in about like seconds. The match didn't even last long. That's what happened. And then he gets fired, unfortunately. Then they bring him back to the company. They do this like start and stop. They do this start and stop push with him. Then they take him off TV for a while. Then they put him back on TV with this new Final Testament stuff with the Authors of Pain and Paul Aaron. That's not even working. So, man, it's just, the guy, I think the problem is the guy is just bland. They can't cut promos. I mean, they just don't. I feel like there's, I don't know, something, the charisma's not there, probably. So yeah, let me make sure it's still rolling. So yeah, oh crap, hold up. All right, we good. Let me take some things out. Yeah.
Of course. Now again, like with Karrion Kross, on the face of things, Zoe Stark seems to tick all the boxes required for being a star, as she certainly has the look, and more so to that, she can also go in the ring too. And this is something which was evident in her time on NXT when she briefly became a women's tag team champion with Io Shirai. That said, ever since moving up to the main roster in 2023, the Salt Lake City native has been unable to replicate even a portion of this success, as rather than ascend to superstardom, her most notable role there has been to mostly serve as a third wheel in the Becky Lynch-Trish Stratus feud. Yes, she's had some wins, and she's even gotten a title shot or two on Raw, but there was never any point where it felt like she was going to become champion, and any of the wins she's gotten have been over people lower down on the pecking order than her. Yes, Zoe Stark has just never quite connected with fans during her time on the main roster. Of course, with her recently having formed a brand new stable with Sonya Deville and Shayna Baszler named the Pure Fusion Collective, there remains a chance this will change in the coming weeks and months. One person we don't see having a change of fortunes as time goes on, though, are our next subject, and the reason we say that is because when it comes to the Good Brothers, they seem to be stuck down on NXT, helping to get the next generation of stars over.
Yeah.
Yes, it seems like the former tag team champions have had their time in the sun, and from this point on, there's little hope of them getting over with fans in any meaningful way, and this is unfortunate, as despite being very good wrestlers, neither of them have ever really clicked with fans in WWE during any of their runs in the company. Could things be different for them? Sure, but it would certainly call for a major shift in fortune to take place. As with both men now in their 40s, it's much more likely the pair will remain in the veterans role for the remainder of their careers. However, it seems the pair are happy enough in this position. That said, not everyone is this way inclined. No, some really want to get over with fans, but circumstances keep stalling them in doing so, and this has rarely been more evident than with our next subject, Tegan Nox. Yes, Tegan Nox is a very good wrestler, good enough that there's little reason she shouldn't have become a star in WWE during the late 2010s and early 2020s. Just look at how close she's come to reaching this level back when she was having her feud with Dakota Kai on NXT in 2020. Sadly for her though, so much of her momentum over the years has been stalled by injury. That's right, since joining WWE in 2017, the Wales native has suffered 2 torn ACLs, each of which took her out of action for close to a year. But that shouldn't be a problem going forward with her, right? After all, she seems to be healthy now. Well, while you may think that Nox would be primed to reach that next level as she's currently a member of the SmackDown roster, it doesn't appear that Creative have anything for her anymore. And we know this because she hasn't been seen much on TV since the 2024 Royal Rumble. All of this is to say then that if the woman with the shiniest wizard hasn't gotten over in WWE already, we don't have much hope for her chances of getting over in the future, as it doesn't look like she's got many more opportunities coming down the pipeline. Who knows? Maybe she'll end up leaving the company altogether, make a name for herself outside, and then return back at a later time. Similar to the likes of Drew McIntyre or Cody Rhodes. One person we don't see venturing outside of the promotion, though, is our next subject, because despite never really getting over there, he seems...
Yeah, I could see that. I think Tegan Nox, I think she needs to leave. If she left WWE, and every wrestler, you know, is just, we know every wrestler's not going to pan out well. Some wrestlers just need a change of scenery. So maybe Tegan could be one of those girls out there that can leave the company, go to different promotions, you know, get yourself back out there in the game, you know, make a name for yourself, and then come back. Feel what I'm saying? A company like TNA would suit her very well. I don't know when her contract is up, but they lost Deonna Purrazzo. That Knockouts division, they lost Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna Purrazzo, Giselle Shaw is gone. Who else? You know, they lost Chelsea Green, obviously. Mia Yim is gone. Mickie James is not there anymore. Jordynne Grace, she's bound to go to WWE when her contract's up. So that Knockouts division is wearing thin. Unfortunately. And they don't really have a franchise player for the Knockouts division. So, you know, maybe if Tegan Nox leaves WWE, goes to TNA, maybe that can change for her. Maybe she can be the franchise player. You know, and then she could be herself. You feel what I'm saying? So, yeah. And I get it. She can never get over the hump with injuries. But like I said, she hasn't been on TV since the 2024 Royal Rumble. And you know, if you don't have nothing for her, then why you still keeping her around? I don't get it with these other companies too. Why do you keep these wrestlers on y'all's payroll if y'all not gonna use them? You get what I'm saying? Like if you got nothing planned for the guy, or if the guy doesn't want to, or the guy or the girl doesn't want to be there anymore, just let him go. You obviously don't want nothing to do with them. Why are you still keeping them on the payroll? I don't get it.
WWE lifer. That's right, it's time to talk about Baron Corbin. Yes, in some way we understand this one, yet in some ways it truly puzzles us, as well no one is ever going to accuse Baron Corbin of being the most entertaining wrestler. His look and style seemed tailor-made for him to become a big star during the latter years of Vince McMahon's time on top. And it wasn't like the boss didn't try to go all in with Corbin at various points. Hell, at one point he actually booked him to win the Money in the Bank contract. And even once his subsequent cash-in attempt failed, Corbin would continue to remain near the top of the card in feuds against the likes of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. But no matter how much he was pushed, fans just never really took to the Kansas native en masse. No, there's always been a sense with Baron Corbin that he's missing that it factor which would truly push him up to the next level. And because he's missing that, he seems to have hit his ceiling in WWE. Triple H seems to have recognized this too, as since he took over as head of creative, he's done little of note with the big man. In fact, the most notable thing he has done is send Corbin down to NXT for a while. And while Corbin's tag team run with Braun Breaker on NXT was entertaining, it was unlikely to turn things around for him in any significant way. Yes, it seems like the days of Baron Corbin getting pushed in WWE may be over. After all, if Corbin was ever going to click with fans, he surely would have done so by now. Maybe, like with Karrion Kross, he's just a man who's in the wrong time, as had he been around during the 80s, he would have had a much better time of it serving the role of villain to Hulk Hogan. But let's move away from heavyweights for a moment and onto the cruiserweights, as it's there we find our next subject, someone who has just never managed to pull it all together in WWE for one reason or another, Cedric Alexander. Yes, when it comes to Cedric Alexander, we can see why he never got over with Vince McMahon during the late 2010s, as he was always undersized. But why did he never get over with main roster fans? Well, that's a far more puzzling story. The only thing we can think of is that those watching the show back then just didn't connect with him due to his lack of a character. That's right, we all know cruiserweights have never exactly been shown in the best possible light, but for as much as their pushes might not have matched it, whenever someone like a Neville or Enzo Amore got a chance to perform, they did seem to get over with fans to some extent. For one reason or another though, the same could never really be said about the Charlotte native, even when he himself was Cruiserweight champion. Even when he was a part of the Hurt Business, Cedric never really caught on with fans, as he was always playing second or third fiddle to other members of the stable, as he pretty much served the role of designated pin eater, not exactly a star-making slot. And since the Hurt Business is split, the former Cruiserweight champion has done even less of note, with the only thing he's done is being part of a tag team with someone we'll get to in a moment. A duo which hasn't exactly led to a lot of success so far. No, it seems like at this point, years of not getting over have left fans with a permanent impression of who Cedric Alexander is and what he can be, and that impression is not a good one. So it shouldn't be a surprise that he continues to be someone who doesn't get over now that he's been sent down to NXT. Maybe he'll also end up being a performer who leaves the company only to return a more well-rounded version of himself, where he can change the image fans have of him. But what about that tag team partner of his we alluded to a moment ago? After all, he's also someone who's struggled to get over with fans. Who are we talking about here? Why, Ashanti the Adonis. Yeah, that's right. Cast your minds back to the turn of the decade NXT, the dying days of the black and gold incarnation of the brand. That was where Hit Row first made a splash as a foursome who could not only work together in the ring, but who could also put out a song or two when they weren't booked for competition that night. But while there was a lot of potential to be found in this stable as just that, a stable, when its members were separated, not all of them proved to be as successful as others. No, they all met with differing levels of triumph, with Isaiah Swerve Scott going on to become the AEW champion, Top Dollar being released and currently working for TNA, and B-Fab now being the manager of the Street Profits. Of course, there was a fourth member of Hit Row, Ashanti the Adonis. What made life so difficult for the New Jersey native as the 2020s kicked into full gear? Well, there was just nothing that memorable about his gimmick, unfortunately. No, in a company filled with great talents, Adonis was just never able to stand out, and for that reason, audiences have reacted to him in the mildest way imaginable every time he's appeared in front of them in recent years. To be fair to him, though, he has always been booked to be a lower card act, with him currently serving as a tag team partner to Cedric Alexander. But then sometimes you have to work with what you're given and make the best of it, and that really hasn't gotten over with fans either. No, Cedric must take his part in the responsibility too when it comes to not getting a reaction from fans, just like our next subjects have. Who are we talking about this time? Who else but Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde. That's right, we were never expecting.
Yeah, I feel like once Hit Row broke up, like I always feel like, because you know, in every faction you always gonna get that one guy who's gonna be the weak link. I always feel like Ashante Theodonis was gonna be the weak link, bro. Like you said, bro, like, you know, Isaiah Swerve Scott, now Swerve Strickland, he wanted to go be one of the biggest stars in AEW. He just main evented the last couple pay-per-views. He was the first black AEW World Champion. Just came out one of the greatest feuds in AEW history. You know, you got B-Fab, who's now with the Street Profits. AJ Francis, he's in TNA. I think he was the digital media champion at one point, if I'm not mistaken. So you had that. But Ashante, I don't know if he's trying to get. I see him in NXT a little bit. I don't know if he's trying to come off as this ladies' man or something like that. Like, or he gets pissed if somebody tries to steal his girl or something. I don't know. So we'll just have to see what happens. But yeah, Ashante, yeah, he was going to be the weakling out of that whole group. And I like Hit Row. Like, I was a fan of Hit Row until they came up to the main roster, and then old man in charge messed it up. And I believe all three of them ended up getting released. I think all the members got released at one point. Yeah, all the members got released. So yeah, and I believe the three of them came back. Swerve never came back, and I think Top Dollar, he got released again. So he got released not once but twice. So you got to think about that too. So, yikes.
Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde to main event WrestleMania or anything, but they have been given some decent opportunities to shine on both Raw and SmackDown since they first arrived on the main roster in 2022. Hell, even before that, they were getting a decent go of it down in NXT. In fact, as far back as the mid-2010s, Del Toro was being given a singles run in the Cruiserweight division under the name of Raul Mendoza. Sadly though, even if they have been getting TV time, whether that be as a part of Legado del Fantasma or the LWO, they've never really been able to build any real momentum as a serious threat in fans' eyes. With the reason for this most likely being that despite getting opportunities to show what they can do in the ring, they're rarely booked like stars, a team who you could believe were going all the way to the top. Rather, Del Toro and Wilde have consistently been presented as people there to do the job to bigger stars and be sidekicks to a more powerful leader. It doesn't matter if it was Santos Escobar in the former stable or Rey Mysterio in the latter, it's always been clear who the real leader is, and at no point has it ever been this duo. Still, you don't have to be a leader to get over with fans. All you have to be is good, right? Well, not in this case. Because good simply hasn't been enough to get audiences invested in the two at any point. No, we're now at a stage where, even if they can go in the ring, and they've proven this whenever they've been given the chance, they've long since fallen into that utility role of being a good worker who few fans are invested in.
Yeah.
That said, at least Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde can take some solace in the fact that they are not alone in being in this position on the current day WWE roster. In fact, they're not even the only people who have been a part of Legado del Fantasma who this applies to. No, the exact same fate has fallen upon our next subjects too, Angel and Berto. Really, this one hurts because anyone who's been watching WWE TV over the last few years will be all too aware of how capable Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo are in the ring. It's been evident since they both joined NXT during the late 2010s. Hell, there's a reason the former would have a run as cruiserweight champion while there. But ever since making it up to the main roster at the turn of the decade and being paired up as part of a stable with Andrade and Zelina Vega, things have faltered dramatically for the Monterrey natives. Yes, at this point, with Andrade being the star of the group and Zelina the mouthpiece, Los Lotharios quickly fell into the role of being designated pin eaters during multi-man bouts. And that was a stink which would remain with them even after Andrade left the company and the remaining members of the stable all became part of Legado del Fantasma. So bad has it gotten for the two cousins, in fact, it's difficult to imagine a situation today where fans could be given a reason to seriously get invested in them. Sure, they've had some successes, but these have been so few and far between that they often go forgotten, with their failings being all the more memorable. And those failings have certainly been noteworthy, such as the time the pair were given the opportunity to go back down to NXT and there win the tag team titles for their stable, something they were ultimately unable to do. All of this is to say then, it seems like Angel and Berto's hopes of ever getting over with fans in WWE might be dead now, as once you hit that point they have, it's very hard to overcome it. Really, the best thing for them to do as things stand today might be to also take a journey out elsewhere, maybe back down to their native Mexico for a while, where they could rebuild themselves in a place like AAA or CMLL. It's something which has worked wonders for other people in the past, though heading to the indies and coming back certainly hasn't been a method which has worked out for everyone. And if you need any evidence of this, you only have to look at our next subjects, the Authors of Pain.
Yeah.
Now, if this was the golden era, we'd have no doubt the Authors of Pain would be mega over as a tag team, as everything about their presentation would have fit in perfectly with the era of the Road Warriors and the British Bulldogs. In late 2010s and early 2020s WWE, however, with the focus being more on smaller athletic stars who can go in the ring, Akam and Razor just haven't been able to live up to the hype surrounding them. And this hasn't been a single incidence of such a thing happening either. No, despite having a decent run on NXT between 2016 and 2018, and despite even becoming Raw Tag Team Champions for a while upon getting called up to the main roster thereafter, the AOP's first run in WWE was characterized by them feeling like a duo that few fans really cared about. So when they were cut from their contracts in 2020 then, it could have turned out as a blessing in disguise for the men from British Columbia and Amsterdam respectively, as now they had a chance to rebuild themselves on the indie circuit, all with the hopes of one day returning to WWE stronger than they had been. Unfortunately though, when they eventually did return to WWE in late 2023, they'd immediately be placed into the Final Testament, and with this stable never really gaining any traction with the crowd, it pretty much was impossible for fans to care about anything they were doing all over again. Really, considering how much steam they were initially building up in NXT, it's unfortunate to think that the AOP have failed this hard on two separate occasions when it comes to getting over with audiences. But what about our next subject, that being Shayna Baszler? Yes, while she briefly got over in NXT, she's never fully been able to connect with fans during her time spent on the main roster. In fact, the only time it seemed like Shayna was about to get over with the audience was in early 2020 when she won the Elimination Chamber and earned a spot to take on then Women's Champion Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. Unfortunately though, this was around the exact time that we moved into empty arenas, so all this momentum would be stopped stone dead. And by the time crowds returned to arenas, her moment was over. That's right, even though she had a great run down on the developmental brand, as well as having the legit credentials of being a former UFC fighter, she just never quite clicked with—
I will never, I will never understand this booking decision, man. You had this lady going up and dominate the Elimination Chamber in 2020. And then you had this girl go to WrestleMania and lose to Becky Lynch for the Women's Championship. Just never. It's just. And I feel like this is one of the booking decisions that will never sit right with me. That will never sit right with me. They had Becky Lynch go out and beat Shayna Baszler. And Becky wanted to put Shayna over. She wanted to drop the title to Shayna, but Vince said, nah. And I will never get over that. Once Shayna Baszler lost to Becky Lynch, man, it was just over. It was just over for Shayna. Unfortunately. Man, I will never get up. Man, WWE. Oh my God. That is up there. Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. It's up there with one of the worst booking decisions ever made. And that's facts.
the audience once they were back in attendance at shows. And this is really unfortunate, as the Queen of Spades is more than capable of becoming great. Maybe all she needs is a manager to act as a mouthpiece to help her character get over, and like we've mentioned before, with her now in a stable alongside Sonya Deville and Zoe Stark, maybe this will light the spark to take her career to the next level and finally get her over with fans for the first time on the main roster. However, with her now reaching her mid-40s, her chance to get over with fans is likely getting smaller and smaller, so we really do hope that she can figure it all out sooner rather than later. And if this happens, Baszler will finally meet her potential. So all we can do now then is keep our fingers crossed that her day in the sun will finally come. But then we suppose the same thing could be said about everyone we've discussed today, because they each show that even if you're talented, getting over can be a hard thing to do.
Yeah. Man, there are some wrestlers, you know, that were on this list that were booked, they were booked pretty well. They were booked pretty well. It was just either one slip up in their booking just derailed everything about them. And they could have been over. And man, like that's just crazy, man. Shayna Baszler, bro, I feel like Shayna could still be over with fans, bro, if they never botched that booking decision at WrestleMania 36 with her and Becky Lynch. If they just put the women's title on her, bro. Oh my goodness. Karrion Kross, what if Adam Cole never cut that promo on him? Could be another what if. Legado del Fantasma, the tag team. Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Wilde. Yeah, they're just designated pin eaters. And when you're designated pin eaters in a faction, bro, that's not good. Not a good look, bro. Not a good look. But yeah, man. Tegan Knox. You could tell, you know, she peaked. She peaked when she was feuding with Dakota Kai. That's when she peaked. And then she comes up to the main roster. And apparently I saw a report last year saying that her and Dakota was supposed to be back together, but that never happened because Dakota was injured. So injuries to other people and not being on TV is what hurts. Another thing too, when you're not on TV, how the hell are you supposed to get over when you're not on TV? You get what I'm saying? So yeah, man, that's gonna do it for me today, man. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next reaction.